Welcome and enjoy your magical marketing insights. Hey there, I'm Christine Collins, and today I have for you some mindset fixes based on some common struggles that I see in terms of mindset. So the number one thing that I think is important to start off with is to say that we are all already hypnotized, and we're already hypnotized about different things. And that may be that we have beliefs stemming from something from a long time ago, something from childhood, something from an ex, something from bullies along the way, or some other feature of our experience that has led us to have some negative beliefs about ourselves, our capabilities, and our strength. And I think it's important to understand that when we think about any negative messaging that we have ever received anywhere along the way from anyone else, that person was delivering that negative message about us, like us being deficient in some way, either to get us to do something or to get us to feel something. And sometimes it can be about a power dynamic, trying to get us to feel inferior in some way due to a perception that there would be more power on their part, or to get us to do something that they wanted, or perhaps if we were asking for things that they didn't want to give, or in some cases, it is connected to marketing and the desire to get us to buy something. So by making the consumer feel as if they are missing in some way, deficient in some way, lacking in some way, it can create a desire to purchase something in order to fix that thing. Now, as marketers ourselves, we have a responsibility not to further contribute to that negative messaging when it comes to our audience and our clients. So we can ensure that our messaging is neuro-informed and that it is not using pain points and lack and deficiency in an individual to dial up their pain and discomfort in an effort purely to make a sale. So that has to do with our responsibility as marketers and in our messaging. But when it comes back to our own mindset, we can start to identify some of those limiting beliefs through the types of language that we notice with it, as well as the emotion that it evokes. So for example, there is a difference between saying something like, math is not my strong area, or sales are not my strong area, versus, I never get it right, I suck at this, it's terrible, no matter what, I never do it well. When you start to hear the words never and always, like I always get it wrong, I'm always messing it up, those are very clear indications that we're dealing with an irrational, limiting belief that is not connected to objective reality, and it may be worth shifting. You also notice the emotional component. If you have a thought like, oh, math isn't my strong area, or sales, they're not my strong area, but I have other talents that are stronger, there's a very different emotion versus saying something like, I suck at this, I'm terrible at this, I'm always messing it up. So you can feel the emotional difference between those two statements. So when the emotion is extremely negative, that's also an indication that we are dealing with a limiting belief that may be worth our time to shift. Now, one of the easiest ways to shift a belief like that is through the process of hypnosis. There are obviously many other ways as well, but hypnosis is wonderful because it does two things really well at the same time. And one of those is to indeed transform a belief and to shift some of those negative messages that we may be carrying around into something far more positive, optimistic, and hopeful for a new outlook. It also provides us with relaxing, juicy downtime and helping us to move into an alpha brainwave state in which we become more creative, more productive, and more optimistic. And one of the reasons why that's so helpful is because of the mindset struggle number 2 that I see really often is people saying content feels hard, marketing feels hard, messaging feels hard, and it can be overwhelming. While they might understand the value of consistent content from the standpoint of building trust, developing that relationship with the audience and with the client, what can happen is that when they're stuck for ideas, it starts to feel like an impossible situation. And when that occurs, it is often a clear indication that we are not in flow. And that's an indication that we haven't been taking care of ourselves, taking care of our mindset. Our creative well has kind of run dry. I always notice for myself that when I'm overbooking myself and extending my energy too far, one of the first things that I notice is that my content dries up, my copy gets really boring and kind of generic because I'm tired and I have not been feeding my mindset the same way that you need to feed your body. Because when we're in a flow state and our mindset is well supported, ideas flow very easily and there are juicy things just kind of coming to the surface. The good news is it's not that difficult to get yourself back into creative flow. There are lots of ways that you can do that. There's doing things that you enjoy, things that you find to be deeply relaxing, taking a walk, getting out into nature, doing some yoga, dancing, singing, art, crafts, anything creative. And doing those things while forgetting the rules, not being rigid, and not worrying about the mess, just enjoying yourself and having fun. And again, that takes us back to the value of hypnosis because, as we already mentioned, hypnosis does those two things of transforming limiting beliefs, but also providing us with very restorative, juicy me time. So getting into that state of hypnosis is instantly restorative. Even after just 15 or 16 minutes of hypnosis, I come out usually chock full of ideas again. And when we talk about that flow state, one of the things that's worth noting is that we're not talking about kind of this like fluffy, abstract concept. Flow is actually measurable by functional MRIs, and it will show changes in the brain. There's a frontal lobe reduction in things like self-consciousness and anxiety, that tendency to second guess yourself. It shifts us into the beautiful alpha brainwave state where we are more relaxed, more creative, we tend to be more productive, we tend to get more ideas, we tend to be better at problem solving. We also get a little bit of a mood lift. There's a little bit of dopaminergic reward activation. We become more hopeful, more optimistic that the work that we're doing is actually going to pay off. So one of the ways that I love using hypnosis, and you can do this with other similar mindset tools as well, like meditation or yoga nidra or something that works really well for you, and that is to go into your session with a particular question or hoped for outcome. So for example, I will sometimes go in with a desire to get a good idea for some sales copy or an offer post or some content that I'm wanting to create. But here's the important piece. When you are using a mindset tool like hypnosis and you are tapping into that beautiful alpha brainwave that's going to stimulate your creativity, it's important that we are keeping the logical mind relaxed and allowing for as much relaxation as possible. So while you may frame a question like, how do I want to approach this offer post? Or even something like, how do I want to respond to that text message or email? Going into it, knowing that that's your question, but holding it very lightly, as if it were like a little butterfly that you didn't want to squish it by thinking too hard or overthinking it. We're really trying to let the logical mind relax here. So you're holding it very lightly and just allowing anything that comes up to come up, not trying to kind of strain and think and figure it out, just allowing and seeing what comes in for you, and then taking a very playful approach, trying on different ideas like you would try on different hats, without committing to any of them, without thinking that, oh, if I think about this, it means I have to do that. It doesn't. You're just simply entertaining multiple possibilities and allowing as many different possibilities to come into your mind as possible. And when we play with things that way, we often find even more creative solutions because we're open to them, but we're also managing, facilitating that beautiful alpha brainwave state where we're naturally better at problem solving and more creative. And then I often find that when I come out of a session like that, I have so many ideas. And if I went in with a purpose or a question, I usually come out of it with something. It's either something very clear and specific, or it's the next step. And it's going to guide me to the next thing that I need to do to solve whatever I was trying to solve. And I definitely recommend keeping a pen and paper close by or a device that you record ideas on so that you can easily get your ideas captured while they're still fresh. These are just a few of the beautiful mindset things we can do for ourselves that will make our messaging and our marketing and our business even more effective. I hope you found this interesting and helpful. Once again, I'm 𝓜𝓪𝓰𝓲𝓬 and I hope that you have an absolutely magical and creative rest of your day. Thanks for listening. This is 𝓜𝓪𝓰𝓲𝓬 at �transformcreate.com.